Hello, listeners. It's Gunter here with some exciting news. We're on the lookout for sponsors to join us on our incredible journey with Inspired Change with Gunter. If your organisation cares deeply about meaningful conversations around masculinity, self development, and mental health, we'd love to partner with you. Our podcast has a wonderful, dedicated audience committed to personal growth and positive social change. By sponsoring Inspired Change with Gunter, your brand will connect with listeners who truly value thoughtful discussion and support initiatives that promote real transformation. We're incredibly proud to be ranked number one in Australia and number 5 in the USA on FeedSpot's top men's mental health podcasts. For more information on how to become a sponsor, please reach out to Miranda Spiegner Sapon, our showrunner and executive producer. We'd love to explore how we can work together to inspire change. Now, thank you for your continued support, and let's keep inspiring change together.
You're listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. To guide us through the intricacies and intersections of emotions, relationships, and male identity is renowned psychologist, author, and speaker Gunter Swoboda. This is Inspire Change.
Before I begin the actual podcast, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I work. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. Welcome everybody to another episode of Inspire Change with Gunter. I'm your host. Hello and welcome to Inspire Change with Gunter. Yes, I'm back again. And this is where we explore how transforming ourselves becomes the groundwork for transforming our world. I'm Gunter Swoboda. I'm a psychologist, author, and I'm a founder of Making Good Men Great. Today's episode answers a proposition that keeps popping up in the culture, that a so-called cognitive elite should embrace selfishness as a virtue. Now, haven't we heard that before? And that society would be better off if the most capable among us pursued their own advantage, unencumbered. A recent article in The Conversation highlights a libertarian playbook favoured by tech plutocrats, particularly Peter Thiel. And the book encourages a cognitive elite to prioritise self-interest. You'll recognise the lineage from Ayn Rand's egoism to a more recent hymn book, The Sovereign Individual, a 1990s text reissued with a new preface by Thiel in 2020. Its promise? Digitally empowered sovereign winners exiting the obligations of democratic life. So over the next 20 minutes, I want to do 3 things. Map the philosophical errors in that worldview, show with psychological and anthropological evidence why radicalized selfishness harms both people and politics, and thirdly, offer a concrete therapeutic alternative, an ethic of responsibility and relational strength that scales from self to society. Here's the pitch by the Thiels. The smartest builders should be free to optimize for themselves. If that looks like abandoning social obligations, so be it. Democracy is slow. Coordination is messy. The future belongs to those who can exit geographically, digitally, financially. That exit politics saturates the sovereign individual. Nation states will wither. The cognitive elite will thrive as free agents. The rest of us adapt or get left behind. On talk shows and podcasts, this stance now blends with fantasies of tech supremacy. Even mainstream outlets have noticed the move from libertarian rhetoric to rule. Oh, ain't that the truth? So let's start where the article doesn't, with a basic question from moral philosophy. What is a virtue? In the classical tradition, a virtue isn't a mood or a market strategy. It's a cultivated excellence that helps human beings flourish together. Courage isn't recklessness. Freedom isn't license. And self-respect isn't selfishness. Even Adam Smith, so often recruited for laissez-faire, wrote The Theory of Moral Sentiments to insist that sympathy, not predation, underwrites social life. An economy is not. Contrast that with the Manifesto's preferred anthropology. The human as a sovereign atom, maximising personal utility while minimising social ties. By design, this view hollows out the conditions of flourishing, relationships, institutions, commons, and then marvels when the vacuum is. African philosophy gives us another lens, Ubuntu. A person is a person through other persons. Identity is relational. Dignity is mutual. Ubuntu isn't naive communitarianism. It's a sober claim about how persons become fully human in community and responsibility. Also check in with Martin Buber, the I-thou proposition. If selfishness were genuinely virtuous, we'd expect it to correlate with better lives. But the research points the other way. Large meta-analyses show that social connection robustly predicts mental and physical well-being, and that loneliness and isolation increase mortality risk on par with other major health risks. In 2023, a meta-analysis of more than 2 million adults associated social isolation with a 32% higher all-cause mortality risk. That's not a lifestyle preference. That's a public health alarm. Pro-social behaviour, helping, volunteering, giving, tends to show small but significant gains in well-being across studies. Meanwhile, the personality constellation nearest to virtuous selfishness is narcissism's antagonistic strain, linked to reduced empathic capacity and brutal self-regard. Across studies, higher narcissism is associated with impaired affective empathy and a pattern of self-enhancement that doesn't translate into communal competence. That's a recipe for short-term wins and long-term relational costs. As a clinician, I see this in the room. A man arrives triumphant in metrics but estranged from meaning, lonely in a crowded life. When we start practicing responsibility and reciprocity, anxiety eases, sleep improves, blood pressure drops, not because he's weaker, but because he's finally living in a way the nervous system recognizes as safe and connected. The virtue of selfishness framing also misreads how groups sustain resources. Nobel laureate Elinor Ostrom spent decades showing that communities can and do govern shared resources effectively when they cultivate trust, clear rules, monitoring, and graduated sanctions. She called it polycentric governance. Many centres of initiative, nested and cooperative, beyond the stale binary of market versus state. Self-interest remains real,
but it's disciplined by norms and institutions. That empirical record contradicts the manifesto's fatalism that collective action is doomed unless the best and brightest succeed. In practice, durable prosperity is a relational achievement. It emerges when we design cooperative systems that harness initiative and hold it accountable. So let's name the politics humming underneath. The sovereign individual treats democracy as a relic that sovereign winners can outgrow. And it flirts with a caste narrative, a cognitive aristocracy. Who should be freer than the rest? The French Revolution comes to mind here, where we go, heads must roll. Critics across the spectrum have flagged how this logic slides towards anti-egalitarian governance in the name of efficiency. And again, a major philosophical flaw. Efficiency is not the priority. Effectiveness is, of which efficiency is a subset. It isn't just theory. It's a live project in parts of tech culture. When the richest actors can unilaterally exit tax regimes, worker protections, and democratic constraints, what remains of a shared world? We're left with private islands of plenty and public deserts of despair. That's not innovation. It's feudalism with a better user experience. So what's the alternative that integrates philosophy, personal therapeutic growth, and social design? In Making Good Men Great, we start with the inner work. Most men don't need a lecture on selfishness. We need practices that strengthen emotional literacy, accountability, and relational courage. We name the internalized habits that patriarchy installs: territory, hierarchy, acquisition, competition, and combativeness, and we replace them with a values-based ethic: purpose, empathy, cooperation, and stewardship. That's not sentimentality. It's training, it's practice, it's a work in progress. If you've listened to our episodes on shame, accountability, and the move from competition to collaboration, you've seen how this scales. Here's a concise drill you can use this week. 3 moves from self-maximizing to life-maximizing. Firstly, name the need, not the status. When you chase status, you escalate scarcity. When you name the need, security, recognition, rest, you invite negotiation. Do this at home and do it at work. Shift from the binary win-lose to the and also of co-design. In any conflict, ask what outcome would be enough for both. Then prototype it for a week. Review and improve it. Practice linked accountability. Tell a trusted peer the specific behavior you're changing. For example, I will finish by 6 p.m. phone off, and ask them to check in twice this week and keep the loop tight. Why does this matter socially? Men trained in reciprocity lead teams differently, run companies differently, and vote for systems that protect the vulnerable rather than externalize the costs. Personal growth becomes public good. Philosophically, the language of virtuous selfishness collapses virtue into appetite, greed. Psychologically, it cuts against what stabilizes minds and bodies: connection, contribution, mutual regard. Anthropologically, it ignores how real communities steward shared life. And politically, it rationalizes an exit from democracy at the very moment we need better, more responsive forms of it. The antidote isn't a guilt-soaked collectivism. It's relational agency. Men and women acting with integrity and solidarity, building households, teams and institutions where excellence serves the whole, not an elite few. If this episode stirred something, share it with someone who's tired of being told that care is weak. And if you want structured practice, coaching or community that has these ideas imbued in them, check in with us. So essentially, today's show is brought to you by my book and my wife's book, Making Good Men Great, Surfing a New Masculinity, the second edition, out soon, and our fiction, Amulets of Power, a Brian Poole mystery. Feedback has it's a rollicking good read. So, this brings me to the end of this episode. Something a little different as always, but necessary. We are running out of time. We need to get our shit together and get rid of these amoral, immoral ideas, ideologies, and harbinger of them. People like the ultra-right. Until next time, this is me, signing off.
Hello, and welcome to all our listeners. This week, we'll take a look at both the USA and around the globe. For the USA list, we are seeing record coast-to-coast listens all throughout the Midwest and across the U.S. We'd like to express our gratitude for those of you listening in Rhode Island for making the top 20, for the first time landing at number 14. Thank you to all of you for inspiring positive social change. Next, we want to take a look at the top 20 on our global listeners list, and we want to thank our listeners in the Netherlands for listening and supporting global positive social change. As you've remained steady on the top 20 and have jumped from 20 to number 14. Congratulations! We thank all of our listeners for tuning in and promoting positive social change. This makes you a part of Gunter's efforts in transforming not only men's lives, but lives in general, and we are grateful that you have joined us. I, Devonna Prinzi, the co-executive producer, and our showrunner, Miranda Spigner-Sapone, sincerely thank you and ask that you please take the time to like, follow, subscribe, and share, as your efforts make a difference to everyone here at Inspire Change with Gunter. Please remember, if you want to share your story of social change, feel free to reach out to the show directly. Please see the show notes for our contact information, but most importantly, keep inspiring positive social change.
Love to hear from you. And if you're interested, please check out my work on www.guntersvoboda.com or www.goodmengreat.com.
Thank you for listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. For more information on the Making Good Men Great movement, or for individual or group coaching sessions with Gunter, visit goodmengreat.com.